In this brief video, we'll talk about using rubrics for peer review. If there is one message to take away from this section, it is that peer review is not something that happens automatically. Students must be trained, practiced, and prepared to use a rubric to do peer review. This means that you should be very clear about the task. What should students do and not do during peer review? Focus them by using sample products for training. You might even do a norming session in which all students read the same paper using the rubric, and then you discuss their ratings and come to consensus about how it is you should read a piece of student work. You should remind students that it is the writing and not the writer that they are evaluating, and that it often makes people feel vulnerable to share their work with others. Peer review should not only focus on what needs to be improved, but also what is done well. And there is a great link in the text giving you more information on how to do this. Also, that reviewing is not editing. Peer reviewers should avoid correcting grammar, punctuation, and other errors. You should guide students to good approaches for commenting on each other's work. I might also recommend that students do a self-assessment using the rubric first before they use it on a peer's work. And finally, though this is the first message, that you should use peer review for formative feedback only and not for grading. There are some ways that we can think about how the peer review process could feed into grading, but the student's scores should not be the basis for a summative grade for another student. So how can you facilitate peer review? You can create a feedback form with your rubric and add specific questions to guide their review. And there is a link in the content where you can see more information about how to do that. You can also provide additional instructions on specific actions that they need to take in the review. You can use class time to model how to provide productive feedback. It's really important that students learn that they can help each other improve, and that it is not their job to punish or to grade another student's work. You can do in-class peer review workshops so that you, as the instructor, can monitor what is happening in the review workshops. You can listen, you can provide feedback, and you can help. And if you do this online, it's pretty easy in a Zoom session to pop in and out of breakout rooms and do the same kind of feedback. Now, you might also ask pairs of students to trade papers, and then each paper receives a collaboratively created review. And this option is from John Bean from his Engaging Ideas book, and this is included on the website content accompanying this recording. And finally, Canvas offers a tool that can support peer review, and I've included a link to that as well. Okay, after peer review, what should you do with students? Here are a few options. The first is that students could summarize the feedback they received and note the changes they made in their revised document. So this might happen in the review panel of a Microsoft Word document, or even in a Google document. They could note where they made changes. Another idea is to have students do a self-assessment of the revised work and write a cover memo addressing the changes they make as a result. Now, you can remind students here they do not have to follow all of the comments, but they should read the comments and consider them. And that it's important to provide time to debrief so that students can make sense of these changes. So the second option then promotes, it's kind of like when you submit a paper for a journal and you need to respond to the reviewer's comments. Students might not choose to make all of those changes, but they need to talk about why. A third option is to have students do a self-assessment before the peer review and compare their own observations to the peer feedback in written form. And finally, students can discuss the peer feedback with their instructor to help develop strategies for improvement. This is common in a conference style where you might meet with the student for 15 to 30 minutes to talk about their work.